All right. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Trouble. Okay. Remove. Remove. Okay. Save. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Sonia McGowan. I am the owner of Covenant Pediatric Wellness Center. And every month we do a Facebook Live with a favorite parent. I won't even lie. I always pick my favorites. So today we are with Chelsea Schweigert. She is a mom here in Missouri. She lives a couple hours away from me, but um, brings her daughter Lexi to see me on a regular basis. So, Chelsea, thank you for being here. Tell us about your family.
I'm also Chelsea. I'm married to my husband, Levi. We bought our family farm back in 21, and we have three beautiful little girls, 7, 5, and 2. And we just live the normal farm life, buying all these animals and just doing farm life. And I work as a service coordinator for Missouri First Steps. My husband is a mechanic and does his own little side business. And then we just go on about life, enjoying our time here in the farm. So
That's awesome. So, tell us specifically about Lexi. Where does she fall in the family?
Lexi is our middle kiddo. She's 5. She just turned 5 end of April, so about 2 months ago. And she's our special needs kiddo. She has a lot of, she's got some genetic conditions. She has autism. She just recently got diagnosed with seizures, and we're just still trying to navigate everything with her health, which we've been working on since March of last year with you. I think it's been, we came in February, or was it March? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. But yeah, we've been working along and trying to restore her health and get her trucking along.
So, how did you figure out that things weren't coming along okay with her?
Actually, she was born prematurely at 36 weeks because I had placenta creta with her. And she came out of the womb eating great, no concerns, needed no NICU time, like astonishing all the doctors, was great with all physical development. And then around like 4 to 5 months, I started noticing some delays in her, like not wanting to lift her head and not wanting to roll over, like initiate rolling over. She was just kind of like a sack of potatoes just laying there. And I addressed it with her doctor, and I was like, something's just not right. So we kept on addressing it, and that's when we got referred to PT and OT for her, and we just kind of went from there. So I would say probably about 4 to 5 months, we started noticing like major delays, like physical. And then it was January of 23 is when we really got the diagnosis for her and kind of put the fuel on the fire for us.
So, when you think back to her as an infant, and kind of, it sounds like she had low tone. You talked about sack of potatoes. Do you attribute any wounding event, anything that would have caused those delays?
I like to think so. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but she was always a happy baby. She was always smiling, giggling, cooing, always meeting everything. And it was like 4 months was when we started noticing the delayments in her. I mean, she does have 2 genetic conditions, but again, that's when we started noticing a lot of her delayments, like significantly. So I would like to say so, but I could be called crazy during that. But it just seemed like every time we got one of those, it just set us back even further and further and further. So yeah, I like to think so, that sometimes.
Yeah. So, we're letting people read between the lines here
Yes.
of, things that happen at 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, right? So how was the diagnostic process? Was it difficult in your area to find an appropriate provider to give you that diagnosis?
Um, Not really, because we were during COVID time. So there
Mm.
was like no wait times whatsoever for us. We went for her yearly checkup, and I kind of like was like, there's something not right. Like she's not talking. She wasn't startling the noises. I could drop a pan or a plate next to her and she just would not startle at all. And I'm like, there's just something not right. So he ended up referring us to neurology up at Children's. And I love her neurologist. Dr. Callahan is phenomenal. He ended up putting a referral to do geneticists with us, and he got a sedated ABR to rule out like cochlear issues. That all came back fine. We put tubes in and everything, and we just were having issues nonstop. So then it was, I think, January 10th of 2023, we got her autism diagnosis, and he diagnosed her. So it wasn't a hard process at all for her because, like I said, it was during COVID. And I mean, we got her, I guess, 15 months. We got the referral. So she was almost 2 when she got the diagnosis. So it wasn't too bad, but
Yeah.
I know people are waiting like 8 to 9 months to sometimes 12 to 2 years, like wait times significantly, but no, we didn't have to wait very long.
So the process itself was easy.
Mm-hmm.
How was the process emotionally for you and your husband?
Oh, it was horrible. It still is. We still deal with it on a daily basis of people shutting us out and dealing with those all the time because of our diagnosis, and just think that, oh, Lexi wouldn't do well, or Lexi's different. But I do remember that day we got that diagnosis. We filled out the questionnaire that he had us do, and we just both sat there and cried when he told us. And it was just like, not sad at the diagnosis, but sad for her future because we knew she was going to struggle. So it was just, it's hard.
But did you at some level kind of know it was coming?
No.
Okay. So
No.
you just thought she was having some sort of developmental delay that a little PT or OT would help her catch up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at that time I did not think she had autism, but yeah,
Yeah. So it hit you really, really
yeah.
hard.
Yeah, because I mean, I've been around kiddos with autism all the time, and she did not meet those criterias for me. So I was just like, not saying that accepting, but like I did not see the red flags for her.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, but I guess we have it now.
So how did you find us?
So actually I was referred to by 2 different people from our town. One of them was Missy Kettinger and Emily Stolzer. They both brought their kiddos up to you. And I kind of like, I just knew something wasn't right with her. Like, it wasn't just accepting the autism diagnosis. I knew she could have, I'm okay with the diagnosis. I just knew she could have a better future. And I didn't know how to get her to there. So I was like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're experiencing. What do you guys recommend? And just kind of like talking to people and say, like, this is what we're experiencing. And that's kind of, I made the call, I think, was it in December or January? And I was like, I don't even care if you're 3, 5, 6 hours away. I don't care if it's out of pocket. I'm coming, whether you want me or not. So,
and we wanted you all day long. We were so happy that you came. So what kinds of things have we done together? Just kind of talk families through the process if they're not sure kind of what functional nutrition or biomedical approaches are.
we've done everything. I think the biggest thing was so we got her diagnosis in 23 of January, and then in Easter of 23 was the day that the night before Easter, we were outside playing. She woke up the next day and she was petrified outside. So that kind of like stemmed to like, this is what I'm experiencing, kind of what I brought to you to the table. And I kind of like let you, like, this is what we're seeing. This is what we're experiencing. And we both immediately were like, pans. Like immediately we both thought that. I'm like, this is what I thought. And we tested, I think we did everything. We did stool samples. We did urine samples. We did hair analysis for allergies and sensitivities. We did nasal swabs. We did saliva test. We did blood tests. I said, run us through the garden, do it all. Like, I would rather know up front and battle it all at the same time than work on one thing and be like, why can't we get to that point? Why can't we resolve this versus, oh, well, we have to do this test to figure it out. I'm like, let's just do it all.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where we were at.
Yeah. So we did the urine and the blood spot, the metabolomics. So that told us about like intestinal health, deficiencies, mitochondrial dysfunction. And my gosh, she checked every box.
She checked every box.
I mean, it was Yahtzee in all the wrong ways. So
yeah,
we did a stool test and we found out that her tummy was a mess.
Yep, she's got staph and strep in her colon. She had fatty acid. Like, everything was wrong.
Yeah. And then talk about the whole mold discovery process.
So she's like a hound dog for mold. We could take her somewhere and it's like instant. She will be happy going into a place, and then it's in mold, and she will immediately turn into this grizzly bear, turn around and start like clawing at you, scratching at you, behaviors for days after an exposure. I mean, I have had 3 instances now, like that I know there was previous mold, and then she responded. In one house, there was mold, and they didn't know there was mold. And I was like, hey, are you sure they don't have mold in their house? Because this is what happens. This is the only time that it happens when she's been around mold. And sure enough, it was in their house. So it's like she's a key indicator for mold. Like I can always pick up when she's around mold, just by her behaviors and the way she's eating, sleeping. Like she kind of like has like a little bit of a slack in her communication when she's around mold because of the behaviors, I guess. But it takes about 3 to 4 days to fully come out of it.
So you have to be nervous to go anywhere new.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Because, yeah, because if it takes you, 4 days to get her back to baseline after just a minute exposure, like walking in the door, you've
Yeah.
told me you've walked in the door of a place, she lost her mind, you had to immediately leave.
Yeah.
So it's not like she was there for hours.
No, I mean, it was less than 2 minutes. Less than, I would say. I mean, we walked in to go to the bathroom and walked out. That was it.
And so based on that, we decided to do the mycotox profile, right?
Mhm.
So we did the urine test to test for mold toxins. And again, with the Yahtzee, right? We found all
Everything.
kinds. Yeah. And she's really a good example of what I say all the time, that kids on the spectrum are like magnets or sponges for things. Like they just anything, it seems like. There are kids who, any kind of virus, any kind of bacteria. For some kids it's mold, for some, and something that you and I could be exposed to and our immune system would just deal with it and we would be fine.
Like a snotty nose or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But her and, many, many kids like her, they are like a canary in a coal mine. Literally, they will just respond and react so to the extreme.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it's a real deal because, I talk about like our toxin load is sort of like a bucket, and for you and I, we fill our bucket, but we can empty our bucket too, right? Through natural detox pathways. But our kids, their
Yeah.
buckets don't empty. They just overflow,
Yeah. I
right? With
remember you
every new
telling me
exposure.
that her detox pathways were completely clogged. Like she had no way of expelling any of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, I'll never forget that day.
So, what are some of the interventions that we've put into place and how has she responded?
Oh man. She's taking cholesterol. So we do cholesterol. We do Minomate for vitamins and nutrients that she's missing. She takes omegas. Uh, what else? Probiotic, prebiotic, and then the new GI expelling, like it binds all the toxins and help expels it. We do those, and we do what else? What else do we do? A whole bunch of stuff. But we've done the ionic foot baths. We've done cranial sacrum work on her. We've done. I want to do HBOT really bad. Like I really do. we could never do it before because of her ears, but I say this is a win. We're going on 6 months with no ear infections,
That's huge.
no tubes. And I think it's all because we're regulating her body and we're getting rid of all the infections out of her system. Like that. I mean, there was not a month we didn't have an ear infection. She had 4 sets of tubes. And just like I think her body was just hindering all the toxins and infections and bacteria and just couldn't get rid of it. And now it's like, I think that's a huge win because she is doing it on her own now.
Well, and it's helped her language too.
Yeah. A year ago, she wasn't hardly talking. She's requesting things now. She's saying complete sentences. She answers yes or no questions. You ask her like which one you want, and she'll tell you which one she wants. She's using an AC device completely, like fluently. Her language has. The other day she started singing Baby Shark, the full song. from beginning to end. And I was just like, oh my gosh, she's singing. Like I thought I was never going to hear her sing.
It's such a big deal when you have a nonverbal child and finally you start to see
Yeah.
glimmers that they're in there, right?
Oh yeah, we
And
knew
you
she was always in there. We always did.
yeah.
I always tell them, she's very intelligent. You know she's in there.
So, let's talk about her cholesterol. If I remember right, it was really low.
Uh-huh.
And
Really.
people probably get tired of hearing me preach about low cholesterol, but it is a
Super
big
low.
deal. Low cholesterol really gets in the way of development for complex kids, and when we put her on sonic cholesterol,
Yeah, that
I mean, the difference in her from one visit to the next, when
yes.
I saw her again, like, her hair had grown, and she was taller, and she was talking, and, I mean, it was just unbelievable what
Mhm.
happened when we addressed just cholesterol and mitochondrial function.
Yeah. Yeah, she really responded really well to the cholesterol. I mean, I think what last time we checked it in the year progress was over double of what she should have been, like or double of what she was prior. So
Yeah.
she's grown significantly in her cholesterol levels. So yeah, I definitely think the cholesterol was one of the biggest issues. That and the iron was one of
Mhm.
the biggest issues.
Yeah, because her ferritin
With
was
8.
super yeah, it was 8,
I
and
remember.
we really want it to be about 80, and hers was 8, right?
I remember.
Yeah, and so how does it make you feel when like, one of the things I say all the time is autism is medical,
Mhm,
and there are lots of people who go, "That's ridiculous. Autism is genetic only."
mhm.
How I mean, based on what you've seen, what do you think about the whole autism is medical versus autism is genetic?
Do I think she's ever going to get rid of the autism diagnosis? No. She's going to have it for the rest of her life, but I can better her future. I can better her outlook on life. I can better the way she is a productive citizen of the United States and just how she functions. And I would rather choose spend all this money and focus on how she's going to live a happy, independent life, a healthy, independent life versus that's a diagnosis. That's what she's got to live with. I don't want to settle for that. I want her to have a bright future, and that's just how I feel. Like she can always have that diagnosis. I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
but I can better her life as much as possible by doing what I'm doing. So
So Jamie asks you this. She says, "Sonic cholesterol is amazing. Did your pediatrician run that lab and say it was normal levels?"
no, no,
It just doesn't happen, does it?
no, it doesn't. I remember that week before we came to see you, we were probably in Children's twice, Mercy one time, my local hospital one time, saw her pediatrician, ran all the blood work, everything. And I was told it's just autism. Just autism. This is what autism is. That's what I was told every single time. And it felt good once we got the results. I took her to the pediatrician. I was like, this is what we found.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
like a
kind of
compliment.
vindicating, isn't it? Yeah. And I wish that you were the only parent who ever heard it's just autism, but sadly, it's what I hear all day every day
Yeah.
when parents ask their mainstream providers, "Hey, will you run some labs?" And I think, to be fair, people aren't trained in autism.
Mm-hmm.
They just aren't. They don't know what to do, and, they're so busy in their day-to-day moving from one patient to the next. It takes a lot of years to get the experience and the knowledge and the education to know what to do for kids with autism and other complex needs.
Her
So,
pediatrician was fabulous. He did he admitted it was only so much he could do.
yeah,
It wasn't like he was shutting us out. He didn't shut us. He never turned us away.
yeah,
But I just knew that there was something. I mean, I remember being very pregnant with my last kiddo and laying on the couch. I'm like, something's not right.
yeah.
Something's not right. Been 2 weeks. What's going on? So I remember those days very vividly. And yeah, there's more chances out there for kiddos with autism.
Did her diagnosis influence your desire to have another baby?
No.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
because you knew it wasn't necessarily genetic.
Mm-mm. No,
Right. Okay.
we didn't. No. We
So
hesitate on having another baby because of my medical conditions, but
mhm,
not because she had
not
autism.
because of her. Nice. So Jamie, who had asked about cholesterol, wrote, "That's just autism is not medical care." She had the very same experience.
I remember
So
watching her video.
yeah, yeah, she's amazing.
Mhm.
So you're choosing to sort of function within and outside of mainstream medicine sort of all at the same time. You've got a mainstream pediatrician and a neurologist, but you also do these sort of not quite mainstream interventions. What sorts of reactions do you get from people when you talk about the more natural approaches that you're taking?
Uh, that's a lot of money. You're crazy. Why would you do that? And why can't you just let her be what she is? And I'm like, that's typically the top responses I get. But I was just having a conversation with my dad the other day about how much progress, because he sat there at our dining room table and he's like, she's blossomed, like she's taken off. And he said, I don't see how people could not put money towards if you can get this type of progress. I said, I would rather put more money in seeing this progress out of her than what if I didn't? Like,
Yeah.
what if I didn't take this chance? What if I didn't drive the 3 hours to go see you and take a chance? And I'm so glad I did.
Well, we're so glad you did too. It it it's so gratifying when I see a kid the first time and then we do all the work and then you come back and I get to see them again and they're like completely different people.
Yeah, you started tearing up the last time we were there.
Well, and I still think about her and I do because the trip you made here, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn because there are lots of docs like me who do this, but it, it's totally changed your family's life and her trajectory in her life because we addressed what was keeping her from being healthy
Mhm.
and we corrected what was getting in her way,
Oh yeah,
right?
and I'm a stickler for it, and everybody knows. Do not give her anything that she's not supposed to have, and I will call you out on it. We just don't do it. We just
So
don't.
what kinds of dietary restrictions does she have?
Gluten, eggs, pork, dairy, all type of rice. You can't have any type of rice. Sugar, all sugars, white sugar, brown sugar, all that. Dyes actually showed up on her list. Additives such as MSGs, carothenogen or whatever it's called, the
Uh-huh.
additive.
Yeah.
Um, all nitrates were on there, so all of it was on there. And I mean, I remember you saying at our follow up, let's pick and choose and remove just a couple. And I said, no, absolutely no. We're gonna do it all. And it
Yeah.
was 3 days of pure chaos. She
Yeah.
did not eat, but you can put fish in front of her. That girl will pick up fish and eat it. She picked up a watermelon rind, never ate watermelon before in her life the other, and started eating it. The kid will pick up everything and anything and like at least lick it and try it.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Like so huge. She's gained a lot of weight in the past year.
Yeah.
It's
It's amazing.
yeah.
And you went clean in your home too. Tell us about that.
Majority. Some of it's kind of hard. We do detox baths with her. Just the regimen that we do the charcoal as a binder. We do Epsom salt with some essential oils and detox. Try to limit her sun exposure stuff like the sunscreen and
Mhm.
shampoo and conditioner and bath wash, toothpaste.
You took away all plastics, you
Yep,
changed your
plastic.
cookware.
Bought all new stainless steel appliances. Or I bought a brand new stainless steel. What do you call it? Air fryer, pans, pots, cookware, bamboo plates, forks, spoons for her, stainless steel cups. Nothing plastic in her house for her at all.
I tell you what, you don't play.
I
Like,
don't. We did it all. Well, because she was having the plastic passing through her urine that we were seeing, and I'm like, no, and our stool not happening. We're done.
what does your husband think you've gone off your rocker sometimes?
He's in the other room. I'm gonna go ask him.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes he does, but I think like I gave him the list and showed him like, hey, this is
Yeah.
what she can't have. And I mean, he knows he doesn't give her anything. And if he does, he's like, I'm sorry, didn't think
Yeah.
about it. I'm like, but you can always tell when she has something she's not supposed to have.
Really?
Hmm.
What does that look like?
Loose stools, behaviors, sleeping issues. I mean, hey, my biggest thing is we're sleeping through the night. She goes to sleep on her own with no medicine.
Praise God.
Yes.
Right?
She was on melatonin and her, what was it, the anti-anxiety medicine when before
Mhm.
we came to see you. On none of that now. We goes to sleep on her own, sleeps through the night. Great. Takes naps sometimes, even better.
Wow. So it's really worth it. Like
Oh yeah.
someone watching this thinks, "Oh my gosh, I could never be gluten and dairy free and rice free and on down the line. I could never get rid of plastics. I could never get rid of Teflon."
Mhm.
But when you do it and it pays off and you finally get some sleep and you finally have a solid bowel movement from your kid when
Mhm.
they start talking, like, would you say it's worth it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I send several people up to you. I think 3 or 4 of people I sent you up there, like they come from me. So
Yeah.
I would say it's definitely worth it. Yeah, I mean she's almost potty trained too. So we're very thankful for everything we've done. It's the best. I would definitely say
It's a big deal. And it's not woo. It's
no.
not I mean, there's nothing unscientific about it. Like all the labs that we use are standard
Yeah.
approved labs, right? It's just a matter of knowing what to test and how to analyze it and then turn that data into a plan
Yep.
that you then implement.
Mhm. Yep.
So, yeah, it's not like we're using divining rods or voodoo, like, right? It's
No.
real science.
Oh yeah, and I mean, there's been multiple times I was like, "Hey, what do you want us to do? Like, what do you think?" And you've given me a list of like, "Hey, let's try this, let's do this," and I implement it, and we see fast results. I mean, just like when I said there has to be something else for her to keep on getting these recurrent ear infections, and you're like, "Okay, let's do the nasal swab, let's do it," and we did it in 6 months now.
So, talk about the nasal swab.
It was torture for her to do, or what do you want?
Well, we did it because she was having
A
lots of
reoccurring ear infection,
ear
yeah.
infections,
We were
right.
looking for bacteria that was living in her sinus cavities, and we did find what was I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember either, but it was a bad thing.
Yeah, it just wasn't it basically her nasal cavity was hindering. I think we were looking for staph mainly to see if staph was staying in her nasal cavities, and she didn't have that. But it was some other bacteria that causes ear
Mhm.
infections. And that's when we started doing that. We started doing the nasal spray and the little
Yeah.
concoction that we're working on.
So a lot of complex kids have colonization in their sinuses. So the sinuses have a microbiome just like the intestine does. And given, the proximity of your sinuses to your brain, if you've got a bacteria or multiple bacteria or any kind of mold or fungus that has colonized in the sinuses, it affects your brain. It burdens your immune system and it really keeps you from being fully healthy. And so we did that nasal swab with her, figured it out, found the infections that she had, worked on clearing them, and then like you said, no more ear infections in 6 months.
Hmm.
So, it's just really a matter of knowing what to look for, where to look for it, and then what to do when you find it is a big deal. So, if you were gonna talk to a new mom,
Hmm.
newly diagnosed child, what kinds of advice would you give them?
Allergies. Have you done allergies? Have you checked their vitamins and mineral levels, a complete panel? And have you checked their blood levels of everything? That's the first thing I say. And I was talking to one mom, and she was saying, "Hey, we're having issues with sleeping, yada yada yada. Have you checked her allergies?" And come to find out, her kid was allergic to eggs. Removed eggs, started sleeping through the night. So that is like, there's always a root cause versus just giving them medicine just to band-aid it up. There's always another reason behind everything. So I always try to, if you think there's something wrong with your kiddo, you need to think of the root cause of what's causing it and not just going with and not going against what doctors say, but not just always agreeing with what a doctor says, because there
Mhm.
could be other reasons behind it. So that's always my first thing I tell mom. If they get a diagnosis, you need to, especially an autism diagnosis, well, what are their symptoms? What are you experiencing? And how have you navigated around that versus just dealing with it?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them don't accept it, but some of them do. Some of them come to you.
And so really what you would also say probably is that there is hope even
There
with an
is.
autism diagnosis.
Oh yeah, they're not alone. Never. I mean, there's people out there. I know for one day there was a mom, I was dropping my kiddo off at school. Her kiddo has autism and he was having issues, crying. She was crying. I went up and gave her a hug. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. You're not alone. I know how you feel. So, and she did. She messaged me and thanked me for that. But it happens, and no one's alone. But I know it's very isolating having
Mhm.
that type of diagnosis. But because you always feel like your kiddo is not good enough, but they are. There's they have a future. They have a bright future.
Absolutely. So in the fall, she will start kindergarten? How can that be?
I know. It makes me sad.
Have you had good luck with your school district getting appropriate services for her?
Oh yeah, phenomenal. They are top notch. I might cry a little. I love her ECSE teachers and all her therapists. They were fantastic.
That's awesome. You've really done a great job of cultivating a good team around her with
Mhm.
school, with all your providers and doctors and all of it. Like
Yeah.
it's you've done just a phenomenal job of creating a team around her, but also like you do what I ask you to do. Right? There are lots of families who, they wring their hands and they're not sure, whatever. Everybody has their own reasons, but, if I say do X, you're like, "Yes, ma'am," and you're all about it, and you generally take it even farther and better than I would have asked you to. And,
Yeah.
it's you're like a dream to work with.
Thank you.
And when you hit a snag in the road, when she has behaviors that are new or, an illness that's new, you immediately say, "Hey, this is what's happening." And we brainstorm about it, we figure it out and, you
Yes,
know,
we
yeah.
do.
So, all right. So Casey says, love hearing your journey and experiences. Yes, there is hope. Dr. Sonia has helped tremendously in our healing during our autism journey. They've made major strides. Chelsea, thank you for helping to spread the awareness. So it's, the climate, the political climate right now is a little bit heated around the topic of autism.
Hmm.
And, it's easy to be intimidated into silence. And, I've just never been one to pay attention to that. I've gone against the grain, against the mainstream for a really long time in
Hmm.
terms of my own kids and my profession and the way that I work. And so I appreciate you being willing to come on and talk about your family and Lexi and just everything that you've done to
Oh
bring her.
yeah, I brag about her, and I will tell everyone about where we go, and be like, "I'll go with you. Like, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's get your butt up there. Let's take your kiddo." Like, I will
yeah,
make the trip with you because you will not be sorry.
yeah.
So,
Well, I sure appreciate your trust in our clinic, and it's absolutely an honor to yeah, sorry. I just what I see for her is she's graduating from high school, and you send me an invitation, and I come, and I get to watch her do that. So, yeah, it's a big deal because, my son never had an autism diagnosis, but he had a lot of complex needs when he was little. And he's now, he was nonverbal till right before kindergarten. And he's now starting his junior year in college with 1B and all A's. He's on the honor roll. He's completely independent. No one would have ever known that he had a rocky beginning. And so, proof's in the pudding
yeah,
because what I did for you is what I did for him on a much smaller level. And, it works.
yeah.
So we just have to let the whole world know that kids who are complex can get better.
Oh yeah, they can. I mean, they still will have their limitations and their own issues, but they can have a very bright future if we just put the right foot forward and help them along the way and guide them. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get there. We'll be there one day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. Everybody has just loved this. We have such great comments. And so, yeah, I can't wait to see what's next for Lexi and see how kindergarten goes and to just, stick together until we
You ain't
make
getting
all the progress we can make.
you ain't getting rid of us yet.
Oh, one more. We're so grateful for Dr. Sonia during our autism journey, but for all 4 of her kids and their health in general. Can't imagine what our story would look like without her in the clinic.
Mhm.
I tell you what, words are my love language, so comments like this, totally get me in the feels. So,
Oh
thank
yeah.
you. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to visit, and thank you again for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.